right. Give it 1 second. See if it shows up on the YouTubes. My dog is still barking.
Ken, I love that shirt.
Thank you kindly.
I got to get one of
T
those.
Public.
Where'd you get it?
T Public. So within the last 6 months, I've probably picked up 4 or 5 different ones.
All right. Yeah, T Public has a lot of good. They also blocked a lot of things. We had a shirt that I made for one of our April Fool's Day episodes. We did WEOK radio, and then there was a little Ewok person there, and I changed the color. I gave him some extra things and stuff, so it was a modification of an Ewok, and it still got pulled down. They said, "Oh, you're breaking licensing," and I was like, "No, I changed it." So whatever. But yeah, so okay, we're streaming. I checked it; it's working, so we're good to go there. I just need to do. Tom, do you have the script up so that you can do the intro there? I threw an
I'm
extra.
doing the intro.
Well,
I thought you do the intro.
I do one part, and then I put in a new part that you do also.
And I don't have the right script.
Around the Dejarik table.
I have the one that's just has the link to the show on it.
Right, the one that's color coded. The one that we use.
No, I don't have that one.
Open it up. You're shared with it. It's now called Around the Dejarik Table, episode 7.
You sent it to Avengers Hockey.
Yep, you have it on 2 different accounts.
I don't see it anywhere in here. But I will.
Avengers Hockey. Oh, 44. Who's that? You're Avengers Hockey 33 or 44? You're 44.
Avengers Hockey 44.
Yeah, that's who it's going to. Avengers Hockey 44 at Gmail.
Did you use the old one?
It's the old one, yeah. It was episode 6. Now just
so you didn't resend it. That's why I can't find it.
No, so just search for episode 7. I didn't think about it until just now. When Tom and I went to this technology expo, there was, what was it called? Suno, a website to make songs. SUNO. It's an AI song thing. So, yeah, Suno Music. I think I did
some fun things on there.
Oh my God, it's so much fun.
Some things all these AI things can do is crazy.
Yeah.
You said SUNO?
SUNO, yeah. So you type in song ideas and you hit create, and it creates an entire song for you. And you just put in my one boss's dog's name is Mo, and I put in write a song about Mo the French Bulldog in a alt rock version, and it wrote this entire song all about how cool Mo was and how much fun we have and blah blah blah. It was so funny. It was so good. So, I'll have to do that for the next one. Is write a Around the Dejarik Table theme song.
I need an intro for my show.
Yeah. Oh, it'll make a fun one. It'll make a real fun one real quick for you.
Take the thought out of it for you.
Yeah. All right, Tom, did you find it?
Yep.
All right. So, I have the opening paragraph. You have the second one, and then back to me again. And
yep.
After mine, before you go, I'll play the theme music, and then you can go when the theme music ends. All right?
Okay.
Close. All right.
Is that a Y50?
This is what popped into my head immediately.
There you go.
I don't know why.
This is even more fun. You're going to love it. All right, here we go.
Okay. It's dancing. It creates dancing no matter what.
That's right. It sure does. Welcome to Bantha Milk Presents Around the Dejarik Table, the podcast where 4 Star Wars superfans ask 4 burning questions about the galaxy far, far away. I'm your host, Rob, and each episode I will be joined by my co-host, Tom, and 2 other co-hosts, I think, pretty much so. We'll see. We'll see if they pass the test today. You guys are up. This is a big test for you guys. So let's get to it. Here we go. Intro music.
Feels no good to be dead.
Tom didn't dance. Go ahead, Tom. Hit us up.
I don't dance. Tom does not dance. Welcome. Make sure you check us out on YouTube at Bantha Milk Podcast, on Facebook at Bantha Milk, and Instagram at Bantha Milk Podcast. We also have a TikTok as well, but we're lazy, so there's not a lot there. I should say Rob's lazy because Rob runs the TikTok. So please like and subscribe and comment wherever you get your podcasts, and please leave us a 5-star review or even a 10-star review if you want to leave 10 stars. That's fine by us.
Whether you're a Jedi Master, a Sith Lord, or somewhere in between, this is the place to have your Star Wars questions answered. Don't worry, I don't have a bad feeling about this because today we have two very special, they're guests with us. First, we have Ken, who comes to us from about 1,000 different podcasts, and David, who I don't think is on any podcast yet, but he wants to be a part of this family. So, Ken, first tell us all about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me back, inviting me to another round the table, if you will, another little trip. And for those of you that haven't listened to me before, I am a wildly positive Star Wars fan who spends way too much time and way too much money in that galaxy far, far away that George created. As Rob said, I'm a co-host on the Inflatable Falcon with Mike Hinton and John Scalise. I'm a co-host on Bounty Hunting Across the Galaxy with Todd and Ken. And I'm also the host of the Rambling Star Wars Fan. And just recently, I made my leap onto YouTube with my very first video up there on February 7th for Star Wars Podcast Day. So once again, thanks for having me on.
No problem, Ken. And I did watch your YouTube there. I gave it a thumbs up on your YouTube. So you're also with the Inflatable Falcon. There's an auction site near me. Some inflatable party company went out of business. They have a whole bunch of inflatable things up for auction. None of which are the Falcon, though. Unfortunately, if one of them was, I was going to bid on that immediately and then tell you guys about it and let you outbid me. But yeah, so that is a fun show. And joining us as a guest this week is David. David, tell us about yourself and why you wanted to hang out with us.
Well, I've just been talking to Rob lately a lot about Star Wars. We have one thing in common together where, we're both volleyball coaches, and just kind of from us talking together and just, seeing common interests, I got interested, and he was telling me about his podcast, started listening to it. Then we started discussing that, which brought me out here. So tell me a little bit about myself. I'm a 28-year-old who grew up with the prequels, Those were my Star Wars growing up. I love them all, but those hold a special place in my heart. And I've been fully immersed in that Star Wars universe since, from the pod racing in episode 1 to the Clone Wars filler episodes and Mandalorian Mayhem. I've seen it all, and I'm here to bring maybe a fresh perspective on Star Wars a little bit. And I'm a first-time podcast guest, so I'm not really sure how to do any of this, but I'm probably going to be Jedi mind tricking my way through this, to be honest, but I'm excited to discuss everything,
Well, you're doing a great job so far.
Thank you.
We are not the host you're looking for.
Oh, that's for certain.
Well, thank you both for joining us. I think, like I said, I think we're probably going to make this a normal thing. It makes my life a lot easier not having to try and find 2 guests every single month to join me. As I said earlier, I'm a little bit lazy that way, and knowing that I got 2 hopefully reliable other guests here, it's just going to be 4 co-hosts on this Around the Dejarik Table episodes, which would be a lot of fun. Nick, my co-host on the main show, his wife just had a baby 2 days ago. So congratulations to him. Happy birthday to little Zelda. That is her name. No, that's not a nickname. Her name is Zelda, and I wonder where he got that from. I don't really know, but I don't know. So cheers to him and to them. Beautiful baby girl, all 10 fingers and toes. Everybody's happy. Mom's doing great. So that's that. So Nick's going to be a little busy for quite a while there with 2 itty bitty ones in the house. So that's why I got you 3 here to fill in. It takes 3 people to fill one person's shoes. So
we will do our best.
You do your best.
Try.
That's right.
You will try.
That's right. So we have 4 questions and lots of answers to our 4 questions. So I'm going to jump right off with our very first question for this week. I was thinking of hard questions, easy questions, and then I thought of the most generic question that I thought I could think of, and it was funny because in our doc I wasn't the first one to put a question in, and I saw Ken's question, and I was like, should I change it? And I was like, nope, I'll go with it. So, plain and simply, if you lived in Star Wars, which planet would you want to live on? So, with that being the simple question that it is not going to be a simple answer. So, Ken, you go first. Tell us what you think the planet is that you would like to live on.
Sure, that's almost like the underhand volleyball serve.
Yes.
Of questions.
Of questions. It's a lollipop of lollipops.
And considering that Star Wars has been around for as long as it has been, I mean, there are bunches of planets to pick from at this point. I mean, there's Scarif and Acto and Dagobah and Ord Mantell, Tatooine and Jakku, just to name a handful. But I think my answer might surprise some of you. I think, at least where I sit right now with this question, I'd pick Coruscant. It's this planet that's an entire city. Does it have nightlife? Yep, check. It's got that. Does it have diner food? Yep, check.
Yes.
It's got that. Does it have vintage stores with stuff that you can find from across the entire galaxy? Check. So if I wanted to go anywhere fancy, if I wanted to see nature's beauty, I'd probably just hop on a shuttle and go somewhere through hyperspace. But for now, my answer is going to be Coruscant. How about you, Dave?
Just thinking about the question too, there was so much to choose from. But I kind of came down to Naboo, just because where I'm at in my life, where I just feel like it's just constant chaos with a 2-year-old and an 8-month-old crawling around. I'm like, I feel like Naboo would be a really cool place to go and relax, find some peace and quiet. I just think back to the scenes of Anakin and Padme just relaxing by, on their little mini makeshift dating scenes from episode 2. And I feel like just kind of the culture and the camaraderie there with like the celebrations, I feel like it would be awesome traditions, like with the Festival of Lights that they have. And me as a family person too, like I just think like being able to be on a planet like that, where it seems like there's a close-knit community, it'd be something I'd look forward to. And it being kind of like a more luxurious place as well, I feel like the cuisine would be good, besides that CGI apple that in episode 2 that did not look too great, but other than that, I think it would be something to visit. Now, what do you think, Tom?
Well, actually,
I'm with you.
I'm curious. Would you said you got little ones? Would you have a Gungan babysitter sometimes? Would you trust the Gungans with your little ones?
Maybe not.
He'd make sure he gets a Twi'lek babysitter.
Ooh,
that's what I would do.
Maybe a Twi'lek babysitter, yeah. Not a Gungan.
I'm for that. Yeah,
Sorry for
I'm
getting in the way.
Definitely choose Naboo, but the same reasons you talked about, just because it's beautiful, it's quiet, it seems like away from the hustle and bustle, almost the exact opposite of Ken's answer. Coruscant just seems too crowded, and at this point in my life, I want peace and quiet. I don't want the hustle and bustle of the city. But also another reason is, Rob will really understand this one. It was my first home planet in a game. Back in 2003, we opened this box of this game called Star Wars Galaxies, where you can actually live in the Star Wars universe. We were plopped down on Naboo and Theed, and we built a city not far from Theed called River Run, which really had no connection to Game of Thrones at all. We just liked the name River Run.
It was before
Game
of Thrones.
That was our first home city.
Yeah.
And we just basically spent, how many hours would you say we spent on the planet of Naboo? Probably about 1,000 hours, maybe more.
Thousands of hours. Yeah, we talk about
thousands.
Little ones, David. Tom and I had little ones at the same time, and we would hold my oldest Trey. I would hold him while playing the game. At like midnight, he would finally fall asleep, and then I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to disturb him, and I don't want to get up from the game." The 2 o'clock feeding time is coming up soon, so I'll just stay and keep playing the game for 2 more hours until he wakes up again. And then when he wakes up for the second time, then it's time to shut the game down. But yeah, we would play for all hours of the night when we were young and able to do those things.
You have no idea how hard it is to balance a bottle while holding a baby, while trying to use the arrow keys on your keyboard and using the mouse to control your character. But
Oh
we
my gosh.
managed to do it, and all on the beautiful planet of
Naboo. Yeah.
Amazing.
Rob, what's your answer?
So I went a little. It was funny because this was my question, so I was like, oh, I gotta have a good answer. So I looked up, I googled Star Wars planets, and Vulture website, magazine, whatever, December 21st, 2017 ranked 30 Star Wars planets, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. This is what I'm gonna go for here. And 30 is Mustafar. Not surprising, being a lava planet, and making sure you have the higher ground would put it at the last planet. But I wanted to try and find something different. I saw Ken put in Coruscant, and I like Coruscant. I probably would pick Coruscant as well because the city and all the different things and all the different levels of, all the way down into what type of a person you wanted to be during Star Wars. Also, I was even thinking of going to Mandalore because I would love to be a Mandalorian. But I was like, okay, this doesn't match the rest of my answers that I did. So I found number on this list. It was number 13, Lamoon, which is the planet from Rogue One that we first meet. What's his name? Come on, nothing. That's where inhabitants far from the hustle and bustle of the Galactic Core in the Outer Rim colonies.
Galen Erso?
Yeah, when you meet Ursal, yeah. And I was like, you know what? At this point in my life, honestly, all I need is a room, a computer, and some other things to keep me busy. I would even love to try farming. Dave and I actually have another coach that we're friends with, and he bought a very, to me, it's a small farm, but it's a big farm for me. But he bought a farm, and he does a little farming. I just asked him actually if he's selling eggs yet, and he said yes.
Yeah, really.
He just spent $300 on more chickens. I forget how many dozens of chickens he got with that $300. But the price of eggs at this point, that's just like printing money, So I asked him, with being a small farm, like, how does a small farmer sell their eggs and their crops and stuff? And he said right now, all his friends are just knocking on his door and begging him and calling him like, when you have eggs, let me know. I want to buy them from you because prices are going through the roof, and I'd rather give you the money instead. So I was like, oh, so I was thinking that would be fun for me to do at this point in my life. As David pointed out how young he is, me. We're all old over here compared to him. But
would you build a hidey hole in a cave for your kids?
Well, my kids are older now, so they probably wouldn't want a hidey hole. But if they were little, oh, most definitely. Like my daughter, I built a little she shed in the backyard for her. I would love to do it in a cave. Oh my God, it would be so much fun. And it would remind me of, David, there was this time called the 1980s. And in that time, kids just took off on their bikes and they were gone, and parents didn't know where they were. They thought they were right around the corner, but we were miles and miles away. So I would love for my kids to actually be able to do that and know that they're safe, that it's okay. I don't care that he's 10 miles away because it's just all farmland and whatever. So, so that would be my answer. Sorry, Dave, I had to get a couple of.
No, it's all good. Jabbing at me a little bit here, but I was born in the 90s, and growing up in the 2000s, we did those things too.
You still did those things? Good.
Off. Yeah, and especially, we did those things, and I lived right next to Trenton, so I was really,
Yeah, you were
risking it all.
Was
there.
your bike electric?
No.
He knew how to pedal.
Okay. Because there are some kids in my neighborhood that I don't think I've ever seen them pedal.
Yeah, I don't think. There are some now that they have an electric scooters and electric bikes, and they all love it. So, all right, so that's the end of round one. Ken, you're going to ask your question next. What do you have for us?
Well, similar to that, where would you like to live? Mine is where would you like to visit? And so, it's amazing that there were 30 planets on that list. And so of all of the pleasure places that you could think of, Java's sail barge,
yeah,
or
that's
Palace,
pleasure.
Canto Bight, Dryden Voss's yacht, Morlana 1, Port Borgo, Maz Kanata's castle, the pirate planet of Lanupa, or somewhere else, where would you want to go and spend some time? And what would you do while you're there? So I'm going to turn this over to you, Dave, for your answer.
Yeah, I went with a more, recent Star Wars I don't want to say planet, but a place that kind of came up in more recent Star Wars shows. But I went with Pabu. But just to start off though, when you mentioned Jabba's sail barge or anything to do with the Hutt family, I don't want anything to do with them. Just the smell. I think about that sometimes. I just look at them and I'm like, there's no shot that you could walk in a room and just be able to.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah, and just-
I have no idea. And the whole thing too, getting anywhere near a Sarlacc pit, I'd want nothing to do with it, even if I had Beskar on. And the place that I chose was Pabu because just you look at it and it's like almost something out of a dream. You look at the planet, everyone's just relaxing, everyone's so happy, so go lucky. The Empire's rarely visiting that place, besides the few times we see it in the Bad Batch where, what's her name?
What
The
is
one?
Omega?
I don't know.
Asajj Ventress?
Oh,
Yes, Saz Ventress visited in the most recent season. I don't know if she was coming from the Empire. She was just really making a cameo in the show, maybe for some fan service or whatever. But I liked the part that she played. But I feel like it would be super laid back. You hang out with the beach, chill with the Bad Batch. Those were some cool dudes. Some of the really I love the development of the Bad Batch throughout the series, and just being able to like I was talking about when on Naboo, but just checking out some of the local cuisine, and just another great place to possibly raise my young family.
There you
and
go.
do some
Yeah.
meditation as well. What do you think, Tom?
Nice. You're kind of like an old soul. So even though you're the young in this group, you're definitely an old soul. That's for sure. I was at first I was thinking Canto Bight, but because I like the Vegas atmosphere, that kind of thing. But if you think about the movie and you think about the people that were there, they're definitely not my kind of people. I need more down to earth people. They seem really like snooty and stuck up. And besides the fact that I really dislike that movie and I really dislike episode 8 and that whole Canto Bight kind of scene. So I was thinking Dryden Voss's yacht would be a pretty awesome place to visit. I'm a little scared of Dryden Voss, to be honest with you. To me, he's a very underrated villain in Star Wars universe. Maybe it's because Solo was not that popular of a movie, but to me, I would love to see more Dryden Voss. I mean, he's a very, very good character, interesting character, scary character. Like, he's a guy you definitely don't want to piss off. But I love what he's created. I love that traveling yacht. I love that you could visit different planets on his yacht. It's not like stuck in one place, so you can travel all over the universe. It had a really neat vibe being on there, and it really fit Han Solo. Like, I feel like it was a place where Han could just hang out for a long time. That's a place that I would like to visit and just hang out, chill with Han, talk to all the interesting people on the yacht. What do you think, Rob?
First off, I like both of your answers. I think they're both excellent answers. Except it's funny, looking at some of the choices, I was like, ooh, this is almost like, which mafia would you want to try and get closest to? And in the 90s, there was this bar in the Northeast that was apparently owned by one of the people of the Philadelphia mob, and I always drove past it and I was like, oh, we should go there. But then I'm like, I don't know if I really want to go to a bar that I know is owned by somebody in the mob. Like, I'm sure it's fine and whatever, and people have a lot of fun there, but I don't want somebody just to walk in and just start shooting or something like that. And thinking of Jabba's sail barge, I didn't even think of how much Jabba would stink. Once you added that to it, I definitely am out there because I feel like I have a very sensitive sniffer here, and there's no way I'd be able to. I'd walk in and be like, "Oh God, no, please, just send me down to the pit now. I want to get rid of this." And then Dryden Voss is just a different mobster, and I'm like, yeah, do I want to, go on, the ship looks beautiful and stuff, and, you have a special high class of people that are there, but they all have some kind of hands in the underworld and all that stuff, and I don't know if I want to associate myself with that. So I thought the safest one of all of them was Maz's castle. It was like grungy enough that it was like, okay, there's some shady people here, but it's not really like a mafia shady people. This is more like smaller criminals and whatever. And like Maz has like her eye on everything, so she makes sure that everything stays under control. So you're not going to get people, hopefully, who do too many bad things until somebody goes down in the basement and finds a lightsaber and then draws all kinds of negative attention to them and stuff. But so of the choices, that was the one that I went with. I didn't even think like David did, going out of the box and finding somewhere else to go. So I liked that was my answer, was that one there.
Said anything else. So
It did say anything
I don't want to
else.
go to any of those other places. And did you guys know that Maz's castle's name is Takodana Castle? I feel like
Yes,
I've never
I
even
was
heard
just
that before
I
for
never
some
heard that
reason.
before. I was just looking that up also.
Yeah.
And it was on the situated by the Nymev Lake on Takodana. This fortress had a main hall and hosted travelers, smugglers, and criminals. So, so maybe you run into some neat smugglers and whatever. But, yeah, so that's my choice. Ken, you wrote this question, so you obviously know what the correct answer is.
Of course, the only answer.
The only answer.
I can honestly say that before now, I've never been happier that Star Wars wasn't filmed in smell-o-vision, because now that you've mentioned the stink of Jabba, it makes me think of the smell of a Wookiee, makes me think of the Ugnaughts, or even Ewoks for that matter. So I'm so glad that they weren't filmed in Muppet 4D, where you could smell and feel and all that. It's just, you just hear the things and see the things.
And they talked about Chewbacca's suit, because when they filmed the trash compactor scene apparently very early on, and then the fur never dried properly after that, and they said it did have a very bad stench for the entire filming of the movie. So so we never didn't have to have smell-o-vision, so that's good. So
thank the maker for that one.
That is for sure.
Maybe that's your replace Muppets 4D then.
Yes.
Jabba's sail barge.
Jabba's sail barge.
Coming to a smell near you.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I've spent the last 20 years living near Atlantic City, and that little place has a lot of things rolled up into it. It's its own den of scum and villainy. I mean, there are thumping clubs and casinos and bunches of nightlife, from comedy shows and rocking concert to even choreographed wrestling matches, not to mention the Wizard Air shows that show up there every summer. And so my choice would be to spend an entire week on Canto Bight. I don't do a lot of fancy stuff normally, and Heather and I would probably take in a show, maybe something with Master Codebreaker there, playing the piano for us, maybe even doing some shopping along that magical street where you saw the Fathiers take off down the road. And who knows, if Canto Bight is anything like Disney World, maybe we could pay a little bit extra and go to the stables and see the Fathiers, because we know how well that they're treated. So and so I'm going to turn the microphone over to Dave, because Dave, it's time for your question. What do you got for us, buddy?
Oh yeah, so it's kind of sticking with like similar vibes, I feel like, as the other questions. Nothing too serious, but something you have to put a little bit of thought into. But if you could have any Star Wars character as your roommate, who would it be and why? And we're going to start with Tom on this one.
So I think I have two answers, because I'm not sure if the first answer qualifies. But I think it would be fun to be L7's roommate, from the droid from Solo.
Yes.
She just seems like a lot of fun, and it would be interesting. I mean, she probably has the most personality of any droid that we've seen in Star Wars, at least in live action, maybe not the cartoons. But she's definitely got a lot of personality. She would be really fun to hang out with. She seems like she'd watch the football or hockey game with you. I just think she's a lot of fun.
I can see her getting very angry too. Like if the team that you're rooting for loses, come on,
break the TV,
breaking the TV.
So to me, that's most. But I didn't know if it had to be a person. It could be a droid. So if it was a person, we didn't count droids. I would say Grogu. I mean, to have a toddler, because to me, toddlers are fun. I know they're a lot of work, but they're really fun. I miss my kids being in the toddler stage, because they're just really fun to hang out with and to see them do new things and discover new things. And that's kind of what Grogu's like when he discovers new things. He's like a little kid. And then, but this little kid has Jedi master skills or Jedi skills. I mean, to be able to protect you, to be able to save you if you get in trouble, to be able to Jedi, Jedi move the remote to your hand so you don't have to get up and get the remote. So just stuff like that. I think it'd be really fun to have Grogu as a roommate. So if I could choose two roommates, I would choose Grogu and L7. Rob,
Even
how about
over
you? Who would you choose
SM33?
as a roommate?
Yeah,
Who?
SM33
SM33 has babysitter mode.
from
That's true. That's true.
from the latest show. That was a good. Yeah, put him in babysitter mode. Okay.
Can't
Yeah.
say I remember no babysitter mode.
That was good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't say Grogu, but now that you mentioned it, and toddlers are also like if we're talking roommates, we're probably you're probably a single guy at this point in time. So having a roommate that's a toddler, that's going to be a huge chick magnet, and the fact that he's already 50 and is a toddler, he's not going to grow up quickly. So as long as you need that wingman to get all the girls, he's going to be there. And then
That's a perfect wingman.
it is a perfect wingman. And then, like you said, with the Force and stuff, he definitely can charm girls and whatever. And, oh, man, he would be awesome.
Old enough to go to bars with you.
Right. He is old enough. Yeah. I mean, he's over 21, so it's perfect. I did ask my son, because my son's in college now, and he has had both experiences of roommates. His roommate his first year was very interesting, to say the least. So I think by the second semester, they talked to each other. I think Trey said maybe 7 words to him the entire semester. So he had a horrible time with him, and now he's got good roommates. He really likes his roommates that he has now. So I asked him, and he said, "Oh, that's a really good question. I like that." He goes, maybe like Kylo Ren." And I'm like, "Okay, where's he going with this?" And he goes, "Because he's going to be really busy trying to do all kinds of evil and bad things and trying to rule the whatever his empire was called." He goes, "So he's going to be out a lot. So you're going to have the whole room to yourself." And I was like, "That's a good point." He goes, "Or even like Princess Leia would be great for that, because she's going to be running the rebellion. So she's never going to be home." He goes, "I'd probably say one of those two." I was like, "That's a good choice. Like, depending on what you're looking for in a roommate. Are you looking for someone who's just going to pay half the rent but never be there? Bam, there's your choice." I, on the other hand, was thinking similar to the way Tom was thinking about Grogu. I wanted a good wingman. I wanted somebody that I knew I could go out to the clubs with. I knew somebody that would be a good talker who could get us into all the good places. So I definitely went with, oh my God, my mind just went blank in the middle of my sentence. Sometimes I start a sentence and then I don't know where it goes. Who did I say? Where's my stupid answer? I'm glad I wrote it down.
Young Lando.
There we go. Thank you. Young Lando. Yeah, Lando Calrissian. Because I think, is he cooler than Han Solo? That is the question.
He dresses fancier.
He does dress fancier. And ever since then, I've brought this up numerous times to people that I work with, and they just laugh at me. But he has the cape on point. I want to bring capes to America in 2025. I want those sequenced capes. Liberace did it. Lando did it. Why can't I do it? And they all laugh at me.
Be careful what you ask for, because remember, I work in the same building as you, or the same district as you, so I can make this happen.
You can make it happen. You can get me some capes. So I think he would be awesome to hang out with. I know he's going to be able to talk his way into any club or restaurant or bar. Sorry, we don't have any openings tonight. He'll be like, "You have an opening tonight," and he doesn't have to use the Force. He's just like, "Look at me. You want me in here." And they're like, "Yeah." And then I just tag along. And me too. Yay. And,
Lando plus one.
Lando plus one. And, and going to the bars, the clubs, he's going to have all kinds of people around him. When David was being born, I was going to the clubs and following my friend's band all over the place. And I was telling people that we were brothers. They're like, "You're not brothers." I was like, "Yeah, I'm adopted." And they believed me. So I got all of these like sloppy seconds by being the adopted brother to the lead singer. So if I could do it with him, I could totally do it with Lando. So that's my answer. I'm going full out Lando because he's going to get me anything that we want. Where I know we're definitely going there, and we're going first class, and
Not
everybody.
if you're wearing a sequin cape. You're not.
If
No.
I'm with
It depends on
Lando,
where you're going.
yeah, if I'm with Lando, we are. That's for sure.
Because you know that Lando's not going to let you go out looking foolish. So
Right.
the sequin capes are for
That's
this
true.
place.
Yeah.
That one over there is more of a leather thing. That
Yeah.
one there got a little
I
fur
can totally
fringe.
see him saying to Rob, "You're not going out with me like wearing that." No,
And-
sorry.
Think about it. Think of what his wardrobe is. His wardrobe is comparable to Leia or to Princess Amidala's wardrobe. Like his wardrobe. So I would hope. I think I'm a little bit taller than him, but I would hope that I could, borrow some of his clothes. It would be awesome to be able to have some of Lando's fit going there. So that's
Pop
my
collar and everything.
yeah,
right?
pop collar, the whole deal would be awesome. Yeah. All right, Ken, what do you think?
Nice.
So I got a little bit of a cop out for my answer, and that is I think I would go with any member of the Bad Batch.
Okay.
I think they each of them have their own set of positives. I mean, Wrecker can be entertaining, and you're talking about using the Force to find the remote. Wrecker can just pick up the couch and say, "There it is." Like he can, and he loves explosions. Who doesn't love explosions?
Yes.
Then you got Tech and Echo, who can fix all sorts of stuff around the place. Hunter can take care of all sorts of business, and even Crosshair can be useful in a variety of situations. And we still don't know what Omega's fully capable of. So I think any member of the Bad Batch would be fantastic. And if you're looking for a roommate who's going to be quiet and not be in your way, we should have all picked Frozen Han. He's there. I know we have access to his ship, and he can't fight us for it. He's just there, and we benefit from having a quiet partner. But we all know that David's got the best answer. So what do you got for us, Dave?
I was hoping you would say Omega's name like Omega. But you
The
didn't.
way she says it with her Australian accent.
Yeah.
you.
So the answer that I went with, just because when I was thinking about the question and coming up with it, I was like, who really would be a good roommate? And the first person that came to mind was Captain Rex, just because he is the definition of reliable. Someone who's organized, disciplined, someone who's always ready to help you if you need it. Being somebody who was a clone that was in battles with other people and living in close quarters, be very used to keeping himself organized and keeping himself together. And you also have a friend for life, and somebody who's loyal to a fault, I'd say. Because even when the clones were turning on the Jedi, and he got his inhibitor chip removed, he never killed any of his brothers. He always set his gun to stun, never to kill, and that's definitely admirable to a point, even though of everything that was happening during that period with Order 66. He's definitely never going to start any drama. But I'd mentioned the inhibitor chip. I definitely want Rex post inhibitor chip because I consider myself a Jedi in the Star Wars universe. I would love to be a Jedi. So he'd be hunting me if he still had that inhibitor chip, and wouldn't want there to be a murder in my
in your
bedroom.
dorm room, in your bedroom. I
So,
thought,
And to be the
Tom.
murdered one.
yeah, I
Yeah,
thought, I thought
would not
for,
want to be the murdered Jedi there.
I thought for sure you were going to say Jabba after our earlier
Ugh.
questions.
Yeah,
He would make a great roommate.
keep him away.
Keep him away. You would need a big room, that's for sure. Can you imagine, like, if it was a dorm room and then he's like knocking on the door? You're like, "Yep, never mind, I'm out. Forget it."
So long.
So long. All right. Well, that's our
What about you,
third
Tom?
question. There you
Yeah.
go, Tom. I think it's your question.
Yeah, so final question of our roundtable. So this is the grand finale. So of all the upcoming Star Wars projects, we have the confirmed ones. We have Andor Season 2. We have the Rey movie. We have the Mandalorian Grogu movie. And also including some of the rumored projects. And there are a billion Star Wars rumors each day. We have all the rumored projects that include all the directors like Simon Kinberg, Taika Waititi, Dave Filoni, James Mangold, Ryan Johnson's project, Patty Jenkins' project. So there's so many different directors that have been linked to these Star Wars movies. of any of those rumored or confirmed shows or movies, what are you most excited for as an upcoming Star Wars project? Let's start off with Robert, my co-host.
All right. So I am not excited about any of the rumored projects that are just titled Taika Waititi Project, because how can you get excited about something you know absolutely nothing about except for what a supposed director will be? And we all know, unfortunately, even though Ken tries to be completely optimistic all of the time, we have gone through multiple different directors. So the Taika Waititi project could be directed by Ryan Wilson by the time we're all done. We have no idea. So I'm not excited for any of those. I'm actually a little disappointed in the fact that, and I think Disney has pulled back a little bit this last year on doing this, where every year at D23, they're like, we have these 7 new Star Wars movies and TV shows and stuff that are coming out. And then halfway through the year, this one gets canceled, this one gets put on the back burner, this one's director leaves, and that director comes in, and there's all rewrites, and we don't know when it's coming, and then suddenly everything just keeps fading away. So I'm really disappointed, and they do it with everything. They've done it with Marvel as well, and even with just general Disney as a whole, they've done the same thing with even in the parks, like, oh, we're gonna do this, and then suddenly that doesn't happen, and whatever. So I unfortunately can't get excited for any of the things that are just labeled by the director that they paid $100,000 to have an idea for right now. Andor Season 2 does look awesome because Andor, by most people's accounts, is either the number 1 or number 2 TV show, Star Wars TV show to come out on Disney Plus. I think, David, you put it at 1, right, for you? Was that your number 1? Cause,
I don't remember, to be honest. It may have been number 1 or 2. I think I flipped either one with Mando. Or,
between Mando and Andor, they're the 2 top shows that Disney Plus has come out with Star Wars. I really, really do and did enjoy the first season of Andor because it was like a war movie or a war TV show, and then as you're watching it, you go, oh wow, there's all these little Star Wars things in there. It wasn't just Star Wars thrown in your face, and the writing was amazing. And that's the same thing with the Skeleton Crew. The writing was amazing for the Skeleton Crew, which is why Skeleton Crew was so good and on almost everybody's list for number 3, because Andor and Mando 1 and 2 were just so good that Skeleton Crew jumped up there to 3 for a lot of people. But I'm done filibustering. My favorite one is Mando, and it's the one that I'm looking forward to the most. Mando is what brought Star Wars to Disney Plus. It jumped out with a bang, and it was funny because it was what everybody wanted Boba Fett to be when we saw him in the original trilogy. And then they were like, oh, we're going to have a Boba Fett series. And then it was like, oh, it's going to be a Mandalorian series. When it was just in the talks, everybody was assuming it was going to be Boba Fett. And then they had this whole brand new character, the Mandalorian, and it was amazing. It was awesome, and it was so, so good, and it really hooked everybody in. And then they made a Boba Fett series, and unfortunately, they made a Boba Fett series. I wish the writing was better in that. I know Ken disagrees with me because he's an optimist, but that one could have been a lot better. So I'm excited. This is also rumored to be the end of the Mandalorian and Grogu series.
Bite your tongue.
I know. Look, I'm
Bite
only.
your tongue.
I hope it's not. Honestly, I hope it's not.
It's a cash cow.
It is
not going to be the last.
Yeah. And even if it's another movie, if they have another movie, I mean, the series are 2 years in between anyway. So if you're going to be 2 years in between, instead of trying to, and I mean, I can stand on my soapbox here. The series are 8 episodes. They're less than 30 minutes each. So you're talking a 4-hour movie. Instead of trying to stretch it out to a 4-hour movie, because there's a couple of episodes in every single season that are just, they could have skipped over them. The Frog Lady episode when he had to take the Frog Lady to the planet. Like, it was a complete waste of a half hour, honestly. Like, it was good, but if you listed it in the Mando episodes, it was the last one, you know. But if you cut those out and just give us a 2.5 hour movie with more action and impact, I would be fine with that. I'm fine with that versus a 4-hour series. Now, movies are supposed to be bigger budget. I know they've always said that the Mandalorian series are budgets on movie budgets for TV shows. So is the movie going to be bigger, better than what the series is, or is it just going to be the series on a big screen? That'll be interesting to see how it turns out. I hope it's bigger and it gives you that movie feel to it, not just like you walk out and go, okay, that was a cool Disney Plus show in 2.5 hours.
I think you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
I just have a bad feeling about this.
We had a bad feeling about this.
I think I can't see the movie being better than seasons 1 and 2
Right.
as a long 6-hour movie.
Yeah.
I can't. Like, they were unbelievable, seasons 1 and 2.
Yeah. I mean, if it's going to be a movie, my guess is, like, with the seasons, they had a lot of short things to do. You know, go to this planet, do this. Then go to this planet, do this. If it's going to be one movie, it's probably going to be one big storyline, like Rogue One or something like that, where it's just one really long, or even the Solo movie where it's one long storyline. So I hope that one long storyline is enough to keep us captivated and really bring a movie to the theaters and not just a TV series. But that is what, I mean, that's, like I said, it's what started Disney Plus. It's what started Bantha Milk Podcast. Our first episodes were all about the first season of Mandalorian. So it's what brought us to here, and it's what brought Disney Plus, Star Wars to Disney Plus. So that's what I'm most excited for. I forget who I'm going to. I'm going back to Ken. I talked so long, I forgot our order. So, Ken, tell us why I'm wrong. Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to filibuster for a bit.
Good, that's what I did.
We don't have to answer this question now, but I think it's an interesting one. You mentioned a bunch of the things that were canceled, and at some point, we should all go around the table to talk about which of the canceled things do we wish weren't canceled.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of great things that were on the table. Even some of them were fully made and then just put on the shelf when the sale to Disney happened. I'm looking at you, Star Wars Detours. So there's, I'm going to like anything. Whatever comes out next, I'm going to enjoy, regardless of what it is. But to get back to your question about what am I most excited about, I think I'm most excited for Andor Season 2 for a bunch of reasons. First, I'm very curious to see how they're going to connect Season 1 all the way up to the beginning of Rogue One. That's a span of 4 years. And from what I've heard, that they're going to take 3 episodes and make it a year. 3 episodes and make it a year. So they're going to have 4 sets of 3 episodes. So it's going to, I think it's going to be a 12 episode season.
Yeah, it definitely is.
So I'm very curious to see how they're going to bring in all these characters that we know were in Rogue One, plus finish up the characters that we met in Andor Season 1. Luthen Rail and Cyril and the like, plus all the people that we haven't seen yet who could show up somehow. And I also am hopeful that Season 2 of Andor leads to more stuff. So more of those things that happen in between those yearly episodes, and it could be a comic book, and be another live action show. It could be a novel, or maybe even cartoons for all I know. And if we finish up Season 2, it means we're that much closer to some of the behind the scenes books that have been made famous in the past. Visual dictionaries, the making of, the art of books. I mean, you can see behind me, I've got books coming out the wazoo. I love those additions to the Star Wars universe. George and the makers have done a great job of showing us the things that went into bringing these characters to life. And I need some more material for another Star Wars costume. So if I can see some of those books and get some better looks at how they were made, and I need at least one costume, and I promise I'll finish one of the other 7 that I'm working on. And I also want to start a rumor. You had mentioned that there were a lot of rumored projects. So I don't know if you're aware of this, but Kathleen Kennedy and I are pretty good friends, and she's probably
That's
listening
awesome.
to the show right
Yeah.
now. We're thinking about putting out an anthology series very similar to the Clone Wars, an animated anthology series, all based on the comings and goings at Maz Kanata's castle.
Oh, that's perfect.
So there might be one episode about the Crimson Corsair. There might be some episodes about Han and Chewie showing up and that sort of stuff. So this animated anthology that takes place, because we know that Maz is an old character. She's seen some stuff. So some of the episodes might be current things. Some of these episodes might be older things. So that's the other thing I'm excited about that. But I don't know if Kathleen Kennedy's announced it yet. So you heard it here.
Well,
first.
you just spilled it on. You dropped it on us. This is a update. What's it called? Whatever. I can't even think of the words.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. Ding 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 ding. Yeah, breaking
we need
news.
a little flash thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You heard it here first.
You heard
folks.
it here first. Yeah. So that's awesome. Well, I agree with you. I too am. Like I said, I'm excited for it. Me personally, I just think I'm a little bit more excited for The Mandalorian, but I can't wait for Andor and see how it all goes. David dropped out. Oh, he's back there.
Hey, Zach.
All right.
Perfect timing, because it's your turn to answer the question.
It on me. Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
That's
No
okay.
pressure.
You think I'd have this all figured out by now, but
That's
this is what I
okay.
get for using my district laptop, you know. Yeah, so I think I didn't hear the end of your answer, but I think I'm most excited about the Mandalorian Grogu movie. Just because of like all the anticipation that people are talking about. And I know we're all kind of skeptical a bit. And I think we all have a right to be, just because of, there's so much hype around a lot of these projects, and it always seems like they're good, but some of them do miss to an extent. So I'm hoping that's not the case with the Mandalorian and Grogu film, especially if we do get what we've been waiting for with the so-called Filoni verse. Even though after doing a little more research, it seems like it's a Favreau directed film, and then based on how this film does, there will be a Filoni verse, Mando verse type thing afterwards, but who knows? So I'm not too sure exactly where they are going, and just the whole idea about all these Star Wars projects that are being announced too. It's hard to be excited about certain things because I feel like they're basing how they're going to move forward with Star Wars on how their previous shows are doing. So like The Acolyte did not do well, and for a lot of reasons that we can talk about for hours probably on here. Skeleton Crew had the Acolyte effect to it because people didn't want to watch Star Wars again after The Acolyte came out, and Skeleton Crew suffered with low viewership, which sucked because it was such an awesome show that I talked to Rob a lot about how much we both liked it a lot, and I'm sure you guys felt similar. So I'm hoping that that when this movie comes out in, what is it, 2026? Is that what they're saying?
I think at this point, yes, it's in 2026.
Yeah, I'm hoping when that comes out, it does see the success that we need to kind of get Star Wars back on track from when Mando season 1, season 2, and you can even say Ahsoka and Obi-Wan kind of were taking us to places that I think the fans want to see. And when I say fans, I'm talking from my perspective. I'm not sure of everybody's opinions here. But I will say I am somebody who likes pretty much all Star Wars, like regardless of how badly it was rated. Like I can't say I like The Acolyte, right? But I watched it, and I watched all the reviews on it, all the background, all the Easter eggs. I was still into it. I was still interested, but it just was a little bit of a miss for me.
All Star Wars is good Star Wars.
Exactly, and I think we can all agree on that, right?
It's like pizza. It's like Wawa pizza. You're still gonna eat it.
Which Wawa pizza is actually
pizza
pretty
now?
good,
They have pizza.
Wawa's pizza now.
It's a 2.8. Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah. I shouldn't say that. I live like 5 minutes from Di Lorenzo's and Papa's and all the tomato pies in Trenton.
Every day.
But it's not too bad. But thinking to Andor season 2, I think that's going to be really interesting because I feel like there's a lot of anticipation for that too. Because just thinking at it from a Star Wars standpoint, it's a Star Wars TV show that really had nothing to do with the Force or the Sith or anything, and it was just so exhilarating from start to finish. Like I still think back to watching that episode with when they're in the jail, and they're building all those pieces for the Death Star that we find out at the end. And just Kino Loy's speech is just like
Oh
the whole
yeah.
thing. That whole episode was just like,
One way
holy
out.
crap, this is
Uh-huh.
amazing. You're like,
Yeah.
this is some good Star Wars, and it's not even, what you think of Star Wars from the outside. It was great storytelling, and I'm hoping they move forward with more things like that, while also, sprinkling in the Force and the Jedi and the Sith and all the things that we love about Star Wars. So,
I think
know-
it comes down to, like you said, storytelling. Who's
Yeah.
who's writing the story? Tom and I have talked numerous times on and off air about the sequels, and the problem that they had was just not a good overall story arc. When you're switching directors and switching writers between movie episodes 7, 8, 9, which is supposed to be one big story arc, things get all jumbled up and confused. I think that's the same thing that the Acolyte suffered with, was just the writing. And the other problem is they had the books that came out leading up to it, all about the High Republic and everything. So everybody was reading all these great High Republic books, and then this came out, and there were little things in there like the lightsaber whip that people were so excited to see, but then it whipped one time, and then that was it. And it was like, don't give me, like, if you're not going to do it, just don't do it. Don't give it to me just once and then be like, oh, hey, there you go. You're happy. Because no, nobody's happy with that. They wanted to see her, like, really use that thing over and over again, and you'd be like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing ever.
Yeah. And I think back to even like the Obi-Wan show too, like the Inquisitors in that show. Like, we did not see one of them in a lightsaber battle, like especially the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah.
We're just like, we're waiting for him to do. He did the spinny thing, with his lightsaber. But like after that, it's like, what other action did we see from them? And
Yeah.
And compare that
Very
to
similar.
Rebels.
exactly.
Compare
It's
that
like,
to what you saw
oh my
them do in
God.
Rebels. It's like,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
I know.
This is all
Where's
you're
the
going to show the
lightsaber
Inquisitors?
helicopter?
Yeah, where's the
I
light?
think-
Yeah, flying away, holding him by the lightsaber. Yeah.
I think that came down to the budget though, because Obi-Wan had the $90 million budget and Acolyte had the
Yeah, it was
probably double that,
Double
right?
that.
Or
Yeah, it was
whatever
like
it was.
200 and
It's
something million,
ridiculous.
yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So it's just interesting. Sometimes this was going to be one of my first questions when I was first thinking, like, what do you think about the budget discrepancies between these Star Wars projects? And-
yeah.
but I thought that would be a little too controversial for my first.
Well, I don't
first,
know if it's
couple
controversial
episodes
so
here.
much as I don't know if any of the four of us, as much as we know about the movies and the makers, I don't know if any of us really know much about the finances of movie making.
Yeah.
Because a $90 million budget may seem like a small thing, but we don't really know what that money goes towards.
Right.
Yeah,
If you look at the budget of, let's say, Mando versus the Acolyte, the budget may not be as high because they didn't have to schlep things across the world. They didn't have to go on location because they had the benefit of filming in the volume. So it's somewhat challenging to look at something of like just budget when comparing movies and trying to figure out if that's what caused the story to be what the story was.
Yeah.
don't tell Star Wars Theory that.
Yeah, you won't hear me say his name out loud because I am not a fan.
Oh man,
Not even close.
Also, like, if you think about time-wise, the first Mando series, was 6-7 years ago at this point, 5-6 years ago, whatever it was. So just in that 5 years worth of time, even Disney Plus as a whole has made more money, generated more money, and they have a bigger budget that they can put towards things. So special effects can get bigger and better and whatever. I think the volume was huge, the fact that they built the volume. It is funny, though, when you watch Skeleton Crew, there's a couple of scenes where they're, like, running from bad guys or whatever they're doing. And you can see, like, they're trying to run fast, but also slow because they're trying to do it in, like, a 40-foot room. And it's like, yeah.
It's like Padme running down
Like
the
a fake
sand with
run.
a clone trooper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to go from that corner to that corner, and it has to take you 5 seconds. And it takes you 1 second to walk it, but you have to run it in 5. So, yeah, but, and also about the viewership, I have read multiple conflicting accounts, and streaming services are so difficult because they don't really release the viewership as much as, Nielsen ratings on network television do. But I did see one website was saying that Skeleton Crew's viewership was huge, especially towards the end. It was the number one show on Disney Plus, higher than like some of the ABC dramas and comedies that are run on Disney Plus. It was higher than those when it was released, and that was like for a brand new show versus reruns of another show. So I'm hoping that is the case, because everybody that I talked to who's a Star Wars fan loved it. And I'm hoping that.
Well, I was with 8 to 11-year-olds, and no one talked about the Icolet.
Mhm.
A lot of my kids were talking about Skeleton Crew.
Okay.
They would all ask, "Have you seen Skeleton Crew? Are you watching it?" So just by how much buzz there was in my school, there was way more for Skeleton Crew than the Icolite. There was none for the Icolite. Zero.
Right. Yeah. And it's a shame.
Skeleton Crew is filled with nos nugs, right?
So many nos nugs. Nos nugs for Star Wars, nos nugs for 80s movies, 80s TV shows. So there's all kinds of nos nugs, as Ken coined, nostalgic nuggets. They were all over the place for that. So yeah, it was awesome. I really enjoyed all of that. And I think, like the Acolyte, you had to read the books to know what to look for when it came for nos nugs in that. And it was funny, somebody else said, people that we interviewed in the last time, everybody complains that they wanted Star Wars not about the Skywalker saga, and then they give us a series not about the Skywalkers, and then everybody hates the series. But I also think that was more leaning towards just the writing of it and the way they were making them act like the Jedi were more like clone troopers. They were more serious and nobody had fun and blah, blah, blah. Where if you read the books, the Jedi were drastically different than that. So I think, unfortunately, it could have been a good series. I think whatever they went with it, they went the wrong way with it. And I was happy that I felt Skeleton Crew brought it back around again to people actually liking Star Wars. And I think
look at some of the ripples that happened after that. I mean, we got to see the kids from Skeleton Crew go to Disneyland, or they so there was a lot more press, I think, positive press, optimistic press connected to Skeleton Crew. Even while the show was on, there were little behind the scenes clips. There was, Phil Tippett and Tetanus, the sand crab, and there was like one or two of those for the Acolyte.
Yeah,
and I think it had to do with the fan reaction to it. The folks, that watched Skeleton Crew had a more optimistic sense of it, that joy that came with it, and hope, and not so much for the Skeleton Crew.
And even for like my regular show where we break down the episodes, with the Acolyte, it was tough for me to watch it a second time to try and really look for all those nos nuggets and all that good stuff. But with Skeleton Crew, I was watching it 3 and 4 times every episode. I was like, oh, this is really good. I want to watch it again. Second time, looking deeper for it. Then I would watch other people's reactions to it and stuff, and then I'd watch it a third time, and then I'm like, okay, I really, really enjoyed this show. So
it was a Star Wars content creator's dream.
It sure was.
With all the Easter eggs.
All the Easter eggs. Yeah, it most definitely was.
Yeah.
Tom, did you think the question was going to get this much?
Yeah, let's get to you, to Tom. It's your turn now to answer.
So, David, we agree yet again. I agree. Andor Season 2 is probably the one I'm most excited about for many reasons. I think one of the main reason is that is my favorite era. My favorite era is the Rebellion versus the Empire, the original trilogy. And I count Andor, I know it's in between the prequels and the original trilogy, but it's closer to the original trilogy. It's the birth of the rebellion. To me, that's a really interesting story. I'm really eager to see what they do with this. And I have a feeling they're going to bring in some newer characters as well to join Andor and the rebellion. So in addition to the ones they already have. So I'm really interested to see where they go with this. If if I were to pick one of the rumored projects, it would probably have to be Taika Waititi. Just because I'd love to see what he would do with Star Wars, because um, the I can't even remember the name of the movie. Ragnarok was probably one of my favorite Marvel movies, and what he did with that was so different. I would love to see his take on Star Wars, but I have one kind of thing that he would not have to do, and that's to stay away from any existing characters. I would want to see what he'd do with a brand new movie of his own with all his own characters somewhere else in the Star Wars universe. I don't think I'd want him to totally change a character like he did with Thor, because to me, Thor completely changed from the second movie to Ragnarok. He totally changed his personality. I don't think I'd want to see that with one of my Star Wars characters.
Was that also the dad bod Thor? Was that one? Or was that a different one?
No, that was
Endgame.
in
That was Endgame.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because
Yeah,
they really
isn't,
changed him there. That's for sure.
No, he
Dark
almost
World,
became a
though.
comedian in
Yeah.
in Ragnarok.
I-
But it just I loved Ragnarok. It's probably one of my favorite top three Avengers movies, Marvel movies. So I would just love to see his take on Star Wars. But in case it goes horribly wrong, I wouldn't want him to use any existing characters. I want him to come up with his own characters.
that makes sense.
Well, do you think you could do something fun with like Cal Kestis or some of those folks that we've seen tangentially, but we haven't seen in a movie?
Love Cal
Yeah, it could
Kestis.
work. It could work. I mean, we're talking about like a character that we already kind of know, and they're developed and they're already established. But if it's a character, a fringe character that we don't really know much about, yeah, that would be okay.
Maybe you could do the Maz Kanata show with me.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, he could be the director for that.
Yeah, that would be fun. And then he could definitely, when Chewie and Han Solo come in, it could be a little like comedic part. They can definitely banter back and forth off of each other. Lando could come in, drop a cape, put on a new cape. It'd be a lot of fun. Every episode would be somebody different. And Taika Waititi could definitely add a good twist to it. That's for sure. I think that would be a lot of fun. Before we close out, there's a couple of little breaking news articles that I definitely want to talk about. And this seems to happen more in Disneyland than it does in Disney World. But Galaxy's Edge is getting a new character for a short period of time. Somebody that we all love and can't wait to see. Luke Skywalker is finally coming to Galaxy's Edge. So they're having a Season of the Force or something like that. I forget the actual name of it. But right around May 4th and starting in like March and going all the way until June-ish, Luke Skywalker will be breaking down the fourth wall of Galaxy's Edge there. Because ever since they built it, Galaxy's Edge is set in this time frame between Rey and Kylo Ren's era, and they didn't want to bring anybody in from the outside who wouldn't fit into that time frame, and now they're bringing in young Luke Skywalker with R2-D2. Will be a walking character through there, and you'll be able to get photo ops with him and stuff like that. I know Tom has
Is this just for like a certain time period, or is this going to be?
So this is a
permanent
limited
thing?
time. This is a limited time run, just in the springtime leading up into summer this year, and I think my guess is it's going to be like a test run to see if people really want to see that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes,
I think
yes.
they
We want
do.
to see every character. Yes,
I don't think it needs to be tested. Yeah, like, send them all.
Exactly.
I
Put them
know.
all out every day.
I don't know what they're so worried about. And that was the thing, like, we have talked numerous times and, on air, off air, you talk to any Star Wars fan who's been to Galaxy's Edge, they don't care about the time frame. They don't care that it's only the Rey and Kylo Ren time frame. Is it fun seeing Rey there? Yes. Is it fun seeing Kylo walk through? Yes. Did I record Kylo walking past me and then me saying something to him and him stopping and somehow with his fingertips saying something back to me and Kylo Ren speak? Yes. Is that awesome? Totally. Would I want to see Darth Vader doing the same thing? 1,000%. And one of the other podcasts that I listened to, they said, here, you want to do a test? Have Darth Vader on the left side of Galaxy's Edge, have Kylo Ren on the right side of Galaxy's Edge, and see which line is longer of what people want to wait in line for. I guarantee you the line for Darth Vader will be way longer than the line for Kylo Ren. In Disney World, I love going. They have the one room, it used to be where the animators used to be. But you can go in there, you can get a picture with Darth Vader, you get your picture taken with Chewbacca. I think the one time we went to Disneyland is when I got my picture taken with Boba Fett. I was so excited. I was like a 4-year-old. I was like, yeah. Like they said, like, he'll be there from this time to this time. And when it was getting close to the end of the time, my wife was like, go ahead. We'll catch up to you. You run. You go get in line because I know this is what you want. I took off. The kids were, Daddy. I'm like, don't have time for you. I got to go see Boba Fett.
Run for yourself.
Defend yourself. Run for yourself.
Grab a blue milk on the way.
That's right. So, but meeting Darth Vader in Disney World is so intimidating. Like, I know it's just a dude in a costume. I know, sorry to spoil your Disney magic there, but you walk up to him and, like, that's what I have now discovered. That's what I want to do. I want to be Darth Vader at Disney World because you just turn slowly and just look at the person and they're like, hi, can I please take a picture with you? And, like, everybody is so afraid of Darth Vader. Like, you want to put your arm around him and be like, hey, we're buddies, but you're so afraid that lightsaber is real and he'll, like, cut you down or he'll use the force choke on you or something like that.
Well, Rob, Trey has done the Jedi training in next to Star Tours, right?
Yes.
At Hollywood Studios.
What, years ago?
Have you ever seen kids' faces when the doors would open and Darth Vader would come out? They look terrified.
It was,
it's just a character, but they were terrified.
I was so happy that when my kids did it, it was Darth Vader because they would alternate. One time it would be Darth Vader, the next time it would be Kylo Ren. I was so happy that they were going against Darth Vader and not against Kylo Ren. I was like, yeah, this is so awesome. But yeah, so Luke Skywalker will be in Disneyland because Disneyland is also only where they had Mando and Grogu for a while. They don't have them in Disney World.
Disney World always gets a short end of things, always.
Yeah. And the little walking droids that they had them. They were testing them out at Disneyland also. So
the gonk droids?
Not the gonk droids. The little ones.
The little duck droids.
Yeah, the little duck droids.
Okay.
They had their heads would spin around. They were really neat. They were really cute.
Doesn't Chopper walk around sometimes too? It was it Disneyland or Disney World?
In Disneyland, I think he does. They do a lot more. Like Disney World has set like go here to go get your picture taken with Mickey or whatever. In Disneyland, a lot of times the characters are just walking around the park and like
so much cooler.
So much cooler. Like the evil.
Well, that's the way it used to be at Disney World.
Yeah,
but Disney World's so stinking crowded that there'd be literally 200 people surrounding the character.
Yeah,
and it'd almost be dangerous. So they went to these set up photo stops.
You have to buy like a fast pass.
But
you do.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. You do.
Yeah, we.
So I like the old way that they used to do it, and the way that Disneyland does it, where the characters are just free roaming.
Yeah,
and they're just walking around the park aimlessly. They stop, take pictures with kids, and then they move on. It's the way it needs to be done. That's the way it should be done in Galaxy's Edge.
I agree.
And they shouldn't be afraid to have all their Star Wars characters. Imagine seeing Boba Fett walk around Galaxy's Edge. Like it'd be amazing. It'd be awesome.
Be amazing.
Yeah, but we can't break the timeline.
Right.
We can't have Boba Fett next to Kylo Ren next to
We're trying
Lando
to be immersed,
Calrissian. It's
guys.
not going to work.
Yeah. Well,
and
the
you really
universe
think a
would
10-year-old's
implode.
going to care about immersion? They're not.
what they
That
are.
was
Somebody wrote Lando was like the Star Wars Michael Jackson. When I was talking about Lando in the chat, I just saw that now. I apologize to whoever that was, but yeah, I agree. But yeah, Ken, to your joke, I know it was just a joke, but like, I don't think you're ever gonna see Kylo Ren and young Luke walking together. They're probably gonna have them separated by time. maybe in the morning Luke will be out, and then in the afternoon you might see Kylo Ren or something like that. But yeah, they're definitely going to still keep it separated somehow. But we want to see all the characters, all of them. So I don't care who it is. And then the other news that I have, I don't know how true this is, but Sigourney Weaver has apparently been rumored to be the bad person or somebody in the new Grogu and Mandalorian movie. So we may see Sigourney Weaver in yet another science fiction. Aliens wasn't enough for her. She wants to jump into Star Wars as well. So she'll be joining the Star Wars universe.
Will she have a cat with her?
She might. It would be interesting. A
Jonesy
loaf
along?
cat, yeah. After she said she made her opinion, she made her decision after she found out that she would be appearing on screen with Grogu, a.k.a. Baby Yoda. She's starring in the new Mandalorian and Grogu, which is to continue the adventures of the Lonesome Bounty Hunter. The actor expressed her excitement about joining the Star Wars universe when she spoke to Games Radar Plus, and even confirmed why she ultimately decided to hop in. It was all because of that cute, Force-sensitive child named Grogu. See, Tom, going back to your choice of who you wanted as a roommate, boom, look at this. You get Sigourney Weaver to hang out with you also because of that.
There you go.
So,
Get A-list celebrities.
A-list celebrities
There you go.
hanging out with you. So, yeah, so I just wanted to
I
hit
want to
that.
see the baby.
Want to see the baby. So that's that. Ken and Dave, I think you guys did a great job. This was excellent. We had a lot of fun today. 4 great questions, 4 times 16 even better answers by all of us. So I think this was another fabulous. And if you guys want to keep doing this, I think instead of 1 co-host, I'm going to have 3 co-hosts for this around the Dejarik table. Tom, that's it for. Oh, by the way, I forgot to do this. Concludes our latest episode. We want to thank our 2 guys, Ken and Dave. Please don't forget to listen to Ken's other shows as well as our other shows on the network on Ears Up, The Supreme Resort, Puny Pod, Scraping the Vault, and Buena Vista Boys. Ken, real fast, hit us up with all your podcasts again that you're on as well.
Sure thing. Wednesday nights is the Inflatable Falcon with Mike and John. Bounty Hunting Across the Galaxy with Todd and Ken comes out randomly. And you can find me on YouTube for the Rambling Star Wars Fan. And I'm looking this year in 2025 to get 1,977 subscribers. So help me out and get me to that 1977 number.
There you go. I love it.
It's
And
got another subscriber from me.
there you go. Cha-ching. Look at that.
Thank
All right.
you.
That Tom, take us out. You found a good closing remark for us, so it's all you, buddy.
Yep. Thanks, Showman. It was a fun discussion tonight. Good questions, and I did like how almost all our questions were related. So that was nice. The discussion flowed really quickly and easily tonight. So you're welcome back anytime. We hope to see you guys in the next episode. But until then, let the Wookiee win.
Let the Wookiee win. I love it.
I can't do the voice.
There you go.
We can all do our Wookiee impression.
I know. All right. There we go. All right. Stop that.